Market is continuing on the way it's continuing on. Good morning, Michael. Okay, now this morning, most of what we have will have pulled back. Now, if that's a testing type of position for you, then it'll be your opportunity to possibly just cut it before it even hits your stop, or maybe it's going to hit your stop and you go ahead and cut it, and that's why test positions are good to do. Um, Although we today, I don't think there's going to be much going on as far as in the market. We're all waiting for tomorrow afternoon. So today and tomorrow, even through tomorrow until the afternoon tomorrow, the market is sort of free to just shake people out ahead of releasing the Fed decision, which everyone knows what the Fed decision is going to be. That's not what's going to affect markets. Although no surprise is will be in and of itself positive news, but it'll be what the Fed talks about tomorrow, what they say about everything going on, all the factors, any updates on all the factors. So, but today I think we could be red all day. That could happen, no problem. Um, it doesn't have to be green. Why does it have to be green, right? It doesn't have to be green. So I would expect your positions to be tested, your faith to be tested. And I don't expect really there to be uh, much to look forward to moving into the Fed meeting, Fed information tomorrow afternoon. It could just be more of the same pullback tomorrow morning. So I think we could be due perfectly fine to be due a day and a half here of red pullback. I'll probably be playing defensive this morning and maybe cutting some things that I don't want to take any further loss on, loss or pullback of gains on. And but I do have a position that is going to ride the 50 moving average, and that is LRN. And there are others that some of you have. This is the 50 right here, and very elevated on LRN. Even though I've sold half my position, I'm up a grand up there. So I've got a powerful position, powerful enough position to provide a grand of gains at this distance. But the 50 moving price can move along the 50 moving average on this for a long time. It has cut into the 50 several times, but anyway, that is the strategy behind holding the position moving forward for a longer period of time. Maybe when push comes to shove, if I have enough padding and I can do it, I'll drop down to the 100. Perhaps riding the 100 will be smoother. Let's see. I think I have the 100 over here. So like this is LRN. I don't know if I have the 100 set up on this system. Oh, I do. There it is. So that would be this. I believe it's this one here. Let's double check. Oh, that's the 150. All right. Well, that's 150. Wow, that was somewhere in there. The riding the 100 though is probably what I'll jump back to on LRN. But it's neither here nor there. The point is, let it ride a moving average. And that's fine. All right, a quick glance pre-market shows nothing big up at all. And to triple check that, actually we have Pony, $3.5 billion company, and WRD. So both of those though are small caps. Oh, BABA is up negligibly, 1.5%, and Oxy. So really, the market is not up in any way whatsoever for any reason whatsoever. So I really do expect there to be it just to be a red day, a move to safety, repositioning. Gold hit almost 3.4 thousand dollars per ounce today. Let's pull that up. It actually did several days ago hit 2 weeks ago hit 3.5K. It's hitting 3.4 this morning. That's actually an entry as far as cheat entries go. That's an entry and a handle, and we're extended off of a base. If we think of it that way, we're extended off of a mature base. Market's going to open in 5 seconds, by the way. But let me continue explaining this. Extended off of this base with no further base, just little pullbacks, little handles, pullbacks with handles. And that's what we have here on gold as well right now. So it's extended, 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 extended. No mature base in sight. This is a place to be taking profits, not the place to be getting in entries. The market is moving up for a moment. I'm going to take this as an opportunity to cut anything with relative weakness. I've got the Sprouts Farmers Market maybe on the cutting block. Let's take a look at that. I mean, it's down at my stop. Sorry, it's halfway to my stop. No, I think I got a new entry on that. Let me take a look. No, it's halfway to my stop. That is correct. So it will remain to be seen. And that was when I entered a Catalyst Day entry. So I'm going to keep that. That's a non-test position. Keep that for the moment. So Sprouts Farmers Market, I will keep that for the moment. EXEL, I believe this was a test position I got in yesterday. Oh, it's beyond my stop. It's time to cut EXEL. It looks like we've got 3 alerts. So let's check those before we lose them. Psych. No, I'm just kidding. There's only 4 alerts. I don't know. No. It's called Psych. SYK. I see. Yeah. Am I already in it? Yeah, I'm already in Psych. But that's good. BCS, I think I'm already in that too. No, I'm not. Okay. We've been waiting for BCS to break that level. It did that the other day, 3 days ago now. We need it to break this level. Okay, BCS. And then finally TJX. Yeah, that's not an entry either. So these are just like old alerts, just triggering again. All right, it's good to look at them though. Okay, so out of Excel, Psych, BSX. For me, I need to check on that. Boston Scientific. I don't have my entry illustrated. Let's take a look. 103.70, but on what date was that? First. 103.70 on the first. Right here, 103.70. Boom. Stop at 101.50 probably. Could be 100. I'm going to double check. See, that's the problem with not illustrating your entries on your charts when you need to. BSX stop 101. That is what I told everybody is the safe spot to put it. Okay, that's just fine, hanging out at near my break even. NutX, I think we got in yesterday. Yeah, that was a pretty cool entry moment on NutX. It's a very volatile name with almost 13% ADR. Really wide, chaotically swinging name. And on a day like today, could pull back pretty strong the way the market is. Okay, Walmart's elevated from our entry and pulled back just a bit, but hanging out. I like what I see there. We'll be hanging on to that. MCK, just fine. Or O'Reilly. Yeah, that's getting really close to my stop, O'Reilly. Spotify. Inside day, perfectly fine. LRN still hanging out up there. Quite elevated. Let's sell, which I got out of, into my closed. And now, let's take a look. So there's 60% positive breadth in growth, but it may not be in anything useful. So Uber is looking great, like pole positioning is what I call it, right before earnings tomorrow morning. So today, Uber is teed up. I'm going to put an alert on Uber so we don't miss it tomorrow. And we got an alert here on LMB. Let's take a look. All right, a lot of runway and blue skies overhead, fast right side reclaim. Because this is a fresh breakout spot, you'd have to go in for a tester. But yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go in for a test position, stop low of the day. So that'd be 106. So 150 shares. I'll try for the bid. What happened? Why? I don't have enough buying power for that many shares. Well, 100. No, how about for 50? I'm not going to do the math. Well, all right, it gave me 50. 1/3 of a half position. Not too happy about that. All right, but I did get an entry at 107.78. That's basically where it is, so the high. I'm not happy about that either, because I was getting a better price for a minute there. For I had apparently not enough buying power. Now, let's see if there's something I could lighten up on to free up some of that buying power. LRN continuing. That's nice. That's that large position I have. Longer term vision position I have, if you will. Yeah, see, it's back in filling. That's filling in. Now, what I want to try to do here is find something to cut on. So my largest position is BSX. Let's see if I can find an excuse to cut it. Yeah, it's doing perfectly fine. No, I don't know if I can find an excuse to cut that right now. All right, I'd like to see something doing bad, doing poorly. I guess it could be SFM. Which one was that one that was close to my stop? Maybe O'Reilly. We're going to look at some more stocks in a second here. Yeah, it's time to get out of O'Reilly. It is below my stop. So flattening out of O'Reilly. Now back to LMB. And let's see if I can pick up those extra 100 shares that I was trying for. No? All right, how about an extra 50? Yeah, it'll allow me to put the order in, but it didn't get filled yet. It's the order. Very wide bid and ask spread. Let's just push it up a little bit. No action. No action. A little more. There we go. All right. So I'm at 2/3 of a half position. MB. And did I get all out of Orly? Yes, I did. All right. So, but that apparently was not enough to free up enough to get a full half position on LMB. But let's go ahead and write in LMB. Did I already? Yeah, I did. Okay. So now the nice thing about these moments where you have either a cheat entry in a handle or a breakout entry at a spot where you don't have a tight pivot to create a reasonable stop to risk level, is you're going to have to go in for a test size. But the nice thing is, in those scenarios, test sizes, your stops on those are going to be tighter than normal, either low of the day or prior low of the day, or you may have some other intelligent reason to put it somewhere else, but roughly tight. And so the situation here on LMB is we had a fast right side reclaim with the last real pivot being down here. So that's obviously way too far to open a full size position and risk to stop. So therefore, we need to test this out. Because breakouts they can be non-test positions. They can be great spots to get in because they can VCP up the right side like this, get really tight, and then they break. And now you can risk to that little elbow, the pivot, the last pivot. But that's not the case here. Sometimes they just fast right side move and you're punching into thin air. And in that situation, you could still get in and ought to get in depending on the setup. But you will get a test size position and set your stop tight to the low of the day or prior low of the day. So the nice thing, continuing on with my explanation of what is the nice thing about that, is that creates a low R unit, a small R unit. It's feasible pretty easily. Maybe today, but maybe not. But to get 1-to-1 today, and if I do, I'll take out 50%, and then my stop will be break even by taking out 50% at 1-to-1. But the main point here is that those low R units allow you to be wrong more often and allow you to scalp off nice RR multiples in those situations that look so peachy and well set up. You can get 5-to-1 sometimes, 10-to-1. This setup here looks like I might get 3-to-1, something like that, pretty easily. And what I'm saying is that in that situation, I only need a 25% chance of that working out. So 75% of the time, it doesn't have to work out. And that's the beauty of the testing technique. And scalp and build up that padding. TLN, we're getting almost a signal on TLN. It definitely has pushed up on TLN. Now, I wanted to get a bigger position on LMB. I only got 2/3 of a half, so my test is pretty small. So 2/3 of a half, what is that? 2 divided by 3 times 0.5. I got a third. So I got a third position. So hey, that's an adequate test size position. But it's definitely working out so far. It's taken off. And sometimes these things, they break out about 5% on their breakout day. So yeah, that's almost 2-to-1 I could potentially get here. I'm almost at 1-to-1 already. And so that's where I might take off half that little test position on LMB. Okay, let's look and make sure everything else is doing all right. Sprouts Farmers Market still kind of just sitting where it's sitting. That TLN, we should kind of pay close. There it is. TLN is happening. I might not have the liquidity to be able to get in it, but if you want to get in it, entry is now, and we have earnings in a couple days here. Well, okay, hang on. It really does need to get sustainably over 231, and it just keeps pulling back. But if you were to get in now, you could put your stop at the low of today or the low of yesterday, or maybe in here at 220. See, that's where we get this intelligent. Got it. And you might be able to build up a padding right before entry. Who knows? These could go up 5% right now before earnings. Earnings is Thursday morning, so we have 2 days. And this thing moves 5% a day when it moves. It can move 5% per day. So if I'm able to free up some money, I will get into that TLN. But Talon Energy is just outstanding. This is a great little cheat spot for Talon Energy with a stop at 220. Looks to be pretty reasonable. An entry now. There it is, moving over 231 and filling in nicely. 220 stop. Basically 231 entry. If you happen to get 230 entry, so about $10 or $11 of risk per share, and a test position. Not a perfect pullback entry in a handle or anything like that. I mean, it is a handle and an entry in a handle, but you need to do a test position. There's not a tight pivot nearby. Well, there is at 216, but the distance from there to 216 is 6%. I mean, you could do that stop, but what's the point before ER? I mean, the idea here is to potentially build up some gains before ER and ER release Thursday morning, and hopefully have enough padding to leave a little in, because this company's on a hell of a bullish cycle. That the revenue growth is not necessarily promising, but believe the charts more than anything. Good pattern showing here. All right, moving down our list. Let's see, VST at the top of the growth screener. I mean, earnings is when? Tomorrow morning. I mean, you could do an entry here today with a stop at 136 on VST. It'd be, like right now, tester position. VST stop at 136, entry at 143.50 here. So figure that out for a test position size. VST looks good. Did miss its last three. It's missed all of its earnings, so I don't know if we can expect too much from earnings. It's a bit all over the map. I don't know if I would necessarily get into VST. CEG, no. TME, I'm going to go through some better lists in a moment, but this is our electronic screener. HWM. Some of these are on the master list. Like, what was this? Kins? KLNS? Kins? Let's see. Kins, Kingstone Company. I just like the way it's mature basing there. Kins, MRX. These are on my master list. So this goes on the master list because it's just outstanding performance. But really, I do want to see a mature base that probably wouldn't get into this for maybe 3 or 4 months. Ging. What was this? Golang. Yeah, GLNG. Oh, GOLAR. That's what it is. LNG. I don't know if that's liquid natural gas, probably. But it's got it's on the master list because it's got this base at the top of mature base at the top of a nice long run that it's been on that has that fast right side reclaim. It's almost all the way to the top. High relative strength right now, giving us signs that it's soon going to break. But it could do this. Mature base lasts all year, and it's not an entry till next year. So it goes on the list though. CRK. Look at that. Gosh. So like for example, this is a good example. So if this was to break out today, this, boom. You would want to get an entry, but you'd put your stop at the bottom of the day and create a test position. Because if you were going to take a full size position, it would have to be to the elbow, to the pivot, typically, unless it's an igniter day, which is not. So this is just too far. I mean, if this thing goes up 20% up to maybe here, that's only 0.5 R on if you set this as your risk unit. You're going to put your stop. So we don't want that. But look how good it could be if you set your low here and it breaks today and your risk unit is like this big. I mean, every day with on breakout after what, 5 months of waiting, that's going to move 5%. Let's see where 5% measures out to. Yeah, right up there. And then risk to stop is 2%. So you'll be getting 2.5 R in return. Yeah, that's good. So, we're waiting for that. That's on alert. I mean, that's got an alert on it. And, we'll grab that if it happens. That's a good example, though. Why you have to choose a tester. And the nice thing about testing positions is they're highly defensive with high RRs. And their intention is to build up padding to create a larger uh, snowballed position eventually, really. And to get you in to something. And now when all of your testers are failing out, like here we have TLN, which basically signaled and it created a test position. It's not following through, but let's say it breaks the low, like it actually stops out. You could get out before then, but let's just say anyway, price moves down that far, even after you've gotten out defensively, because it's just looking not good. If it does go further down, then you would call it a failure. That was a testing. That was a failure of a test, right? Not when you stop out like halfway down or something as it pulls back and starts to put in pivots that doesn't look promising. Not there. But if it were to go all the way down and then break the what should be the theoretical stop for that test position, then that would be a failure of a test failure, and a test entry failure. And if you were to get, like, for example, if you were to just all of your positions just did that, all your test positions just did that day, then it would be a direct sign that you need to just lay back, lay off. It's not working out. Okay, I think I have more than a 1-to-1 on LMB. Let's go take a look at that. LMB is following through, and I have a 1/3 position. So I have $173 of gain was my 1-to-1. But for some reason, it doesn't look that way here. 109.83. Stop it to 106, I think we said. Did we say 106? I think we said 106. That's what's the problem here. This is set to 105. This should be set to 106. Okay, now you can clearly see. I do believe we set to 106. Anybody remember that? Now you can clearly see that, yeah, we've hit our 1-to-1. And we just hit 110 for a brief moment on LMB, and now it's pulling back. So I'm going to set an order to sell even 10 shares way up there at 110. Oh, it set it to 110.21. I guess that's where the system wants to put that order. And I'm going to see if I can get that filled. It looks like there's a lot of energy here. It may get filled, so we're watching. And so what's happening here, though, is I'm getting more than a 1-to-1 on this test position. And I'm using that as a spot where I can get out 50%. But I'm starting by just taking out 1/5 of that 50%. I'm just feeling that out, seeing how this is moving. It doesn't seem to be a terribly liquid name. Now, off of that breakout level from yesterday, it's up 4%. Off of the breakout level, the highest level that it's been, it's up 2.8%. So I think it's probably going to hit like 112, 111, 112, 113 today. Because that's about 5% from the breakout level. And with the right energy, and sentiment, it should be able to carry itself 4 or 5% on breakout here. Normally moves 6% per day. So I think it's very likely that we get 112, 113 today on LMB. I may need cut SFM. Let me take another look at that while we're waiting for this one to move. No, it's all right. Let's see. That's like my worst position, SFM right now. That's my most pulled back position. Everything else is, it's not terrible. I wish it was better, but today's a red day on the market. What can you do? This one's Psych. This is just not really following through right. This is a test position, and I needed it to follow through, and today it's just not following through, and that's not going to turn around. Not easily, anyway. So I'm flattening out of Psych. That test position, no good. As a test position. Now, if that was a full position, you probably would put your stop a little bit lower, maybe down 360. And anyway, you definitely would be able to hold through that. But yeah, I'm out of Psych. No thanks. Now back to LMB. We're monitoring. I did just blast through. I did get that order out. So I'm going to chip another little one off. On LMB, I'm getting much better than 1-to-1 right now. Right now we're getting 1.67 to 1 on that LMB entry today. And like I said, I think it's going to hit 112, 113. I should have just got my fill. Oh, it's a penny off from my fill. No, I should have got my fill, but there's probably just some liquidity issues there. Oh no, my order is way up there. That is really dreaming. I think that the system probably put that too high. There we go. I've got a bit of a more reasonable one now in. And even so, it's pretty stretching. It's at almost 112. I'd rather just have it at the ask. Let's see if I put one more in. Okay, that's more reasonable. 111. So I have 3/5, 3 orders out of half. Three 3/5 of my half that I'm trying to get out on LMB open as open orders. CRB. Okay, I think I may just got filled something there. Yeah, I did get some. I got 9 out of 10 shares filled. CRBG. Okay, that's not necessarily good. And I got that final share just filled. LMB is just, it's doing the right thing. I'm up $320 on it. I've already taken $60 in padding. $60 has been fully realized in gains on it. But I have like around $300 sitting up there. Gains. Let's see. Let's look at some other names. HCI. You know, the interesting thing to note here is that the market's down. The market's moving down. Rates are moving up. The VIX is moving up. The VIX is almost at 25. The VIX has hit 25. The dollar is weakening, and LMB is just flying. You know, goes. It's really is flying. Look at that. It hit as high as 2.1 to 1 now. So this little test position with this tiny little risk area that was a third position has now afforded me a little bit of padding, and I'm looking to take out more. How much padding has it got now? About $70 in padding. And once I do get up there and get 50% to the stop, that's still not really enough because this is a tight RR on this test position. Now, I'll still hold it very defensively and maybe even scalp completely out of it. But it'll have been in the long run a contribution towards getting a real entry on this thing eventually. But this is anyway how you can attack and approach a trigger area, a trigger spot, knowing that it should be a test entry and not a full position. VST, CEG, CRBG, HWM, TME. I think I already looked at that just a minute ago. Yeah, let's. I mean, it's just been really bad earnings after bad earnings, but it is teeing up a little bit, setting up. We put a cup on that. We'll come back to that someday. Dollars. Very convincing. 1525. 1525. A little bit of an art to getting these Bezier lines to capture all these points. Correct. I mean, it could end up doing something like that. Keep it like that for now. TME. So it's taking a long time to get to higher prices, but that's good. That's your mature base action. That's what we're looking for. Let's see. BSX, which I want to keep monitoring a position of mine. Just want to take a look at how it's performing today. Nope, nothing really to be concerned about. And Sprouts Farmers Market. Keep checking on that. It's still sitting where it was sitting. NutX. Not doing super well, but certainly hanging out up there in the upper side of that move yesterday. MCK, bit of a pullback. Now, let's look at some more names here. I have some from a list yesterday. Let me just take a look. Got Palantir, MSTR, Netflix, CoinHood. Let me just take a look at all these. MSTR. You see it had this long base here, and then made a huge move out of it. And now we're getting kind of this long cheat base-ish under 400 with a double bounce off of the 200 that's good, but it really does need to break over this pivot. Although if it were to come back and bounce again off of that and maybe do something like this, then you could prepare to get a cheat entry moving forward into what would eventually be a low cheat entry. As you know, this is going to be just a long journey. It could be next year before we see higher prices on MSTR. But you know, in the meantime, you could be cheating it and building up padding. Okay, MSTR, Palantir today had pulled back. Yep. And Netflix continues to be strong. Coin, you know, so on Netflix, you know, we absolutely love it. It is out of a mature base now, so it's off and running. It's not even a mature base; it was like a 2-month base. So even that was a little bit light. Say that perhaps this was the first day out of any mature region, which we could call this. And so, you know, it's off and running. Any kind of entry now would be an off and running pullback handle type entry. And that can persist 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times, an average of maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 times before it needs to get back into a mature base cycle. 7 times would be, you know, the market would have to be raging for a bull market for, you know, a year and a half to create 7 continuous extended pullback handle entries before it mature based out. Yeah, it would, you know, that would be quite a special scenario. So anyway, Robinhood. Yeah, on Robinhood, it's gonna may take a while to do this, but it's gonna have to get back up and over these on the other side of earnings. It's not bad. It's not too bad as a setup. And this undercut even is can be a good function. Helps flush out sellers and medium to short-term holders, allowing for a lot more long-term demand to come in without resistance. Microsoft, Tesla, Google. These are just some names on a list that I just wanted to flip through. Nvidia, Meta. Not necessarily saying any of these are great. We're just looking at them. Got some more out on LMB just now. And in order to get my position fully out, I now have almost $200 of padding built up now on LMB. Almost like 140. Okay. On LMB. So I'm going to put another order in. It looks like we're hitting 112 something. And that will get me 50% out of my position on LMB. And then I will mark it right there once I get that fill. Okay. SMCI. AMD. ABA, which we know is doing good today. Not really. And Apple. Okay, so I went through that particular list I wanted to go through. Now there's more. These 4 names, which are Duolingo. I'm up almost half a grand, you can see. Almost half a grand on $173 of risk to stop on a third position, test position on LMB. So that looks like this now. And by the way, that's 5% up from our entry. And it is now 5.5% up from breakout. And I'm not getting a proper measurement there. Let's see. 7% up from a recent highs and 9% up from yesterday's close. So this is super mature now, and I'm really glad I took out half because this move, this is what you expect, by the way, on a breakout. This is, by the way, just like, you should make a note. Okay, do this whenever you're doing trading. But you'll right here. It remains to be seen by the end of the day, but good behavior on breakout. It remains to be seen, but just if you can put a note like that when it happens, because that is a minority of the time. So, but what it means is we found something that acts right, that behaves proper. So that's useful. That allows you to have conviction later to create a big position if necessary. It's now up. We're now up 3-1 on original position. I'm probably about to get my fill at plus $500 on the day on that one particular position, which would put me at about $200 in padding, realized gains. It just keeps going. It's now up 5.5% from my original position, 7% from breakout, and 7.6% from recent highs, and 10% from yesterday's close. So yeah, good behavior on breakout. And I also need to put a note in here that actually I'm going to switch this a little bit. So 50%. So I sold 50% into those levels. There was my fill. And you can see the difference between 515 and 316 is like $200. See that? PL open and PL day. That difference is realized gains, which we now, as a test position, just put right into that $200 that's been realized, put right into getting a bigger position at some point on anything really, but ideally on this one down the line. And it can be snowballed, built onto, added to. It depends on what's going to go on here. But we've now easily financed the risk to stop, because the risk to stop was actually negative $173 to the stop here. So we've now financed $200 of risk on this from break even. So where is that now? We go in here. We can look. Here's 200. 200 is at 103.60. So we've now financed our stop to 103.60, which is this level here. So we're break even on our stop to that level. That's break even. Actually, I probably should write that in there as well. I don't know if you can see that, but it says break even stop financed. So see how that is? I mean, we're trading with a bigger vision, a bigger goal. And we now have such a great move, and I've taken out little profits all the way up to half of the position as it made that move, and captured actually more than 2R, approximately 2R is what it amounted to from our original R in padding to break even. To break even, right? That's just part of the magical training of the whole snowballing type of system, but this is sort of the pre-snowball system. This is the cheat testing, financing, padding phase. All right, so Duolingo, the other name I wanted to take a look at. I'm going to take a look at a couple more names, and then I got to go. PRDO. All right. Just looking at these names. BTSG. Yeah. And CART. I think they make Instacart. And yeah, it looks a little bit choppy. Not super in love with that chart either. So those were those, and then there was a few more. Okay, AEHR. No, that does not look good. What is this? All right, well, anyway, wanted to look at that. Bros, okay. Upwork, okay. Task, all right. Rocket Lab. These are some names that are not on my master list that I just wanted to get in here and double check on. So the situation on Rocket Lab, price is now above the 50 moving average, has bounced off of the 200, undercut the pivot when it did so flushed out some supply there, which was really nice. In hindsight, looks like this is a important level, which is 22. It has tried to get over that, but there seems to be just too much supply still there, too much resistance. It just keeps getting met with getting hammered back down. But there's a lot of demand going into that level too. So 22 is definitely a key level. There's not really an entry right now, but this move off of the low here, this fast move right here, all the way to that, that's a fast reclaim. That's fast action. It's creating this kind of like pattern where you have it doing something like this, and then it goes really fast to reclaim the full length. What took 9/10, 90% of the time, it was able to reclaim in just 10% of the time. That means it's 9 times more powerful, right? So this was a powerful signature there, and so we want to be really interested in this name, Rocket Lab, and if it can just put in a positive quarter and put in a catalyst day that breaks out, or if it breaks out and moves green, that's a breakaway gap, we would get in with stop at low of the day. Any of those for entries coming up on earnings pretty soon here could result in some excellent could be a good trade, excellent gains or padding for a better position. So that's Rocket Lab. So what I want to do is I definitely want to put an alert line here. Don't miss that later. All right, couple more names, and then I got to run. IAG, is that gold related? I am gold. Yeah, let's stay away from those because who knows when that run will be over. Orla, you don't want commodities tied. This mining, these must be all gold. IAG, AUM, these are all gold. Tossed. Tossed comes up on a lot of people's scans right now. Everyone's kind of got tossed in the wings. Tossed, sound, pound. Arlie? Is that? It's kind of hard to see some of these. What is that? No, not no. Mobileye. Okay. Okay, no. All right, now I just want to thumb through a few on my master list. Those are our absolute best picks, you know. And I already did, but let's check some more. And LMB was one that we found an entry on, you know. It was right there. Uber, right? Tomorrow, probably an entry on Uber on earnings. You still, Michael, are you still holding Uber? All right. AEM. We're looking for a handle. Okay. So the situation on AEM is finally, after like 2 or 3 weeks of waiting here, we're starting to get a handle forming. It had this longer base right over here, which was, you could almost say, was not mature. This period here is probably the maturation period. And it came out of that, pull back. That's a handle entry area. Up, handled, entry, up, came down. We got handleage happening. We want entry on this for further continuation. Right? So set up an alert. So that's just its technique. Okay, we just got an alert on CRK. We're going to go take a look at that. Let me see if I got this in the right spot. Yeah, that'll be the first time I want to know about it. All right, CRK, what's up? All right, CRK after earnings. So this is a test entry on CRK, similar to LMB, which is now over $530 in gains. Okay, stop at 21, and it's at 21.50, $1.50 a risk on a half position. It's a tester. $178 shares. I don't know if it'll let me, but I'll give it a try at the bid. Okay, order's in, so that's good, but it didn't take it yet, but it's in. And the reason why we do like this a lot is because earnings is already in the bag. It's already happened. And it turned out that's what sort of catalyzed this very fast right side reclaim, which is back to all-time high breakouts levels after a mature base period, which undercut, flushed out sellers and supply. It's looking good. Okay, we're in. All right, so entry was, and we'll note it now, 21.42. Stop at 21. Right there. It's not quite like low of the day, but it is probably the important spot to put the stop. And we can react from there if we need to. All right, I got to go work on some things. We are underway. We've done the right thing. No, I didn't hold anything overnight. All right, that's fine, man. But I mean, that's kind of the opposite of what you wanted to put day trading power in. Well, yeah, there you go. All right. It's all good. It's all good. Well, hopefully, some of you learned something today from all that and maybe got some interesting opportunities on your paper trading account. All right. Have a good day, everybody. And I'll be back in the group in a little bit. Got to go run some errands. Thanks so much for tuning in. And ahead of time, you're welcome. And thank you.